Okay, folks, we're back. And somebody's already on here, so they must have clicked on that bell. Get notified immediately when we go online. If you supposedly that's how it works. That reminds me, let's go ahead and change this from top chat to live chat. All messages are visible. Okay. So I got some stuff to talk about if people come in, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. We need to get rid of some of these colors right now. We've got just a mess of things in our way. We've got beige brown. We're not going to need... Oh, no. We're not going to need you anytime soon. Nothing worse than bending over when you're not getting paid. Oh, man. Green browns up here. You get back in the corner. Okay. All right, so we have what we were working on last time, or the last thing we were working on, is the stands for the Soviet tanks, or self-propelled gun, the Su-152 and the T-26. So we'll need to do the base color on that. And we already gave the wash to the T-28s. So that's something that is on our list to do also, and we'll just see where things take us from there. I'm going to go ahead and, we may need this to dry a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and give the other two colors to this, which is US Field Drab and Iraqi Sand. We're going to go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do that next. And I don't plan on being on here any longer than maybe an hour and a half. So we will see how productive of an evening they'll be. All right, let's get this US Field Drab color. I want to make sure that I got started by at least 8:15. It's just very difficult for me to get motivated to get the ball rolling after that. It just takes too long to get folks to show up and get comfortable. There we go. That's better. Su-152 Animal Killer. Why is it called the Animal Killer? Well, they used them to hopefully hunt down panthers and tigers and what else had an animal name in German? That might just be it. The elephants later were not at Kursk. Actually, I don't know where it got its nickname. It may not have gotten it the nickname at Kursk. It might have been later. But it's really similar to the JSU that I have. The difference is this is a KV hull based vehicle, and the other one is a JS Joseph Stalin hull vehicle. So there's definitely some similarities. They both have 6 road wheels, and they're of a similar size. Although I suspect, without looking for it, that the JSU's got better armor. Because the JS series tank has more armor than a KV series tank. Not a huge difference. But still. Actually, a JS2 tank has a lot more frontal armor than a KV. I don't know about on the whole, though. Might have a lot of armor on the front of the turret. Generally, that's the place on an armored fighting vehicle where it has its heaviest armor. It's on the turret. Generally, the front of the turret's more than the front of the hull. The side of the turret is generally more than the side of the hull. Mr. Moreno, welcome. Welcome back. Seems like I've been gone for a long time, but I guess Sunday night. Sunday night I was on here. Not very successfully. It's just kind of hard to stay motivated to do this when you're just like nobody's listening, you know. We're like, okay, nobody's there, you know. Just got in the habit of this being a social activity. Even though none of the people I normally game with. Oh, that's not true. Randy's a modeler. But they don't build models or stuff like that. I just can't see buying stuff that somebody else painted. You know, even if you do a crummy job or you're not happy with it, get better, you know? We'll come back and touch up the side of that. So we'll see who shows up. Get about 3 or 4 regular people, and I'll bring up something that happened yesterday. It's not bad news. It's just something worth commenting on. There he is. You can't either. You can't either what? I can't either. No, brother man, don't say that. It's very intriguing. So yesterday, I did something I've not done in a long time. Back in the early 90s, I used to work at a hobby store part-time before I got a real job while I was still in college. And we had a model meeting once a month. It's on Tuesday nights. Started, I think, like at 7. I think the store closed at 7. And we stayed up till like 9 or whatever. And, you know, people do show and tell and talk about different stuff. And kind of informal, but it was, you know, on a certain night of the week. Tuesday nights, I believe is what it was. So I was just kind of surfing around a couple of years ago and see if they still did that sort of thing. And we don't have any hobby stores now in town. You can't buy painted miniatures, yeah. I would want to see if they were still doing it. They'd moved on to the hobby store I worked at closed in '97, and there was another one that was a chain one that I didn't think they really had a very good selection of something. It's called Hobbytown USA. And I'm not sure how long ago they closed. I'm going to say 10 years ago, maybe 15. We haven't had a hobby store in town since then. We kind of have to make do with between Michael's Hobby Lobby and occasionally Joann's Fabric. There's basically not really any place to get any models, but they got some paints. There's the Candy Ass Central, the game store, has a full line of the Vallejo paints. But other than that, not really any place to get a plastic model or anything like that. So I just went out and reached out to them about a year and a half, and of course it was in the middle of COVID, so everybody was, duck and cover. It's mostly older guys, so they postpone their meetings or whatever, and I reached out to them, and they're back holding meetings. I don't know how many I've missed, but I decided to go to my first one last night, and a couple of the original people are still there, which is funny because I probably stopped going to them by the time that I have the job that I have now, and in a couple of months I'll be at this job for 30 years. So it's been a while. Anyways, I had a good time. And I enjoyed this show and tell stuff. I brought some of my 1/72 scale stuff. Of course, I'm the only one doing 1/72 things. Most people in the group seem to do aircraft, which is fine. I don't have a problem with aircraft. As long as it's got guns, One of the guys seems to do cars and stuff like that. But anyways, had a good time. So probably going to try to keep doing that. But I know there's always like a big push to like, hey, let's do this tournaments and stuff like that for competition. I'm just not interested in doing any painting for competition. As long as I'm happy with it, that's a win. I'm a very tough customer. I'm pretty hard on myself. So if I'm happy, that's good. Now, I did enter at Historicon because I figured, what's the harm in having a few extra bucks, right? So I entered a painting contest at Historicon. And the problem isn't winning. The problem is getting ill wanted advice from people that don't paint, like why I didn't do better. Like, I entered a DBA Army. Well, it's too many figures. Well, that's the figure thing. That's how many it is. So then I got to worry about something happening to them. I was like, do I really need this kind of stress for a $20 gift card? Like, no, I don't need that shit. And, I don't look at other people's stuff and say, you should have done this better or should have done that better. I don't like doing it. So I'm certainly not going to take it from somebody else. So I'm not really interested in, it's like I told one of the guys, like, hey, you should do, we got this one model meet, we got this one model meet and it's all armor and stuff like that. And I'm like, I just got done doing almost a 20-year stint of a game that I had a lot of fun that was competitive. And it's the only competitive game I've ever played. And I'm just not interested in doing that anymore. I want to go and talk about history. And they're very history-based. So, like a couple guys built some models of planes and they talked about the history of the pilot and where the aircraft and what kind of, that's the kind of stuff that I wanted to get out of it, So I had a good time and I'll probably go again, but I'm not interested in entering, painting competitions. Look, I got plenty of trophies for DBA, but I don't have them in this room. I don't need to get I'm a great painter merit badge. I'm good, so, anyways, it went really well. Can't wait to go next week. Next week. No, it's not weekly. It's monthly. And they did do a theme. What exactly did they call it? It was kind of a weird theme. Weird named theme. Hold on a second. I'll be back in a second. Hold on one second. I'll continue what I was talking about. Sorry about that. Freddie G, hello. Hello back at you. Sorry, I got an email I've been waiting on for a long time. Pain in the butt, but it was a good email. Anyways, so what was the theme is what I was saying. Let's see. Model theme is vehicles whose primary purpose is to carry fuel, ammunition, or chemicals. And some people will say, well, that could just be anything, right? Because it's got ammunition in it. Not that definition. Fuel, ammunition, or chemicals. So I'm going to do some flamethrower tanks. They got fuel in them. Got flamethrower tanks to do. Anyhow. It's just something else to do, something else social. A lot of people interested in military history, so that's good. Always good to have that. Once again, I'm like I think it's probably the second youngest person there. Oh. Even when I was playing war games, almost everybody was about 10 years older than I was. That's kind of the go-to age. This one's good to go. All right, let's rinse this off. Grab a paper towel and hit the T28s. Now, one of the things I didn't do on the T28. Oh no! Come on! No! Do not fall. We've had a very rough day. We don't need that all over the floor. All right, paper towel dispenser, you're going to be on the ground. Okay. This week has been extremely challenging. Extremely challenging. So, all right. This little piece decided to fall off. And it goes here. So we need to glue this little guy back on. You don't have to do that immediately. But we're going to go ahead and put it on there and see if it ever... Have you ever had something lay on your stomach and listen to the noises? Have you ever had someone lay on your stomach? Yeah, I've done that too. Why? Did you... something happen? There's probably a website for that. That's a different kind of ASMR, or is it AMSR, whatever. Laying on people's stomach and listening to noises. It makes sounds like the names of IKEA products. As somebody said, IKEA stuff is named after Nordic demons or something like that. You summon a Nordic demon when you say the name of the piece of furniture 3 times. It sounds cool. Are you doing the laying, or is somebody laying for you? That's all fun and games until you have to be the guy that cuts open somebody's stomach. It's a good thing that there's some people that have some strong stuff to be able to do that. Because if it was me, I'm like, you're gonna die. You know, I would not be I would not be a good surgeon. Not everybody can be good at everything, you know. I can't watch surgery and stuff on that. I know somebody who's like a kid. They're kids of some friends of ours, and one of the little girls, and she's like, I was gonna say half my daughter's age, but that's not quite right. But she's younger than my daughter. Is fascinated by surgery stuff. Like likes watching surgery. I'm like, oh no, I can't do guts. I can see blood. Blood doesn't bother me, you know. Guts, absolutely not. No, that's creepy. Okay, so what are we going to do with the first thing? We've already done the wash on this thing. So we're going to come back with this Soviet green. And we're going to dry brush the same color over again. Why? Because that's the stupid painting method that I use. And I'm not on a crusade. You guys want to do it a different way? By all means. It's your own creation. You can do it however you want. All right. We're going to just go over this. Let's say lightly, kind of heavy lightly. What I was saying is I forgot to do is in the space between when I did this wash, I have not looked and done any research on paint schemes for these guys. I have two of them, and I don't want to paint them like units because then you miss an opportunity of being creative with them. Do I have a noise? Not today. Sometimes. Depends on what you're eating. This thing just fall off. All right. Well, we're just gonna have to come back to you later. But I did that one time. I'm like, well, I'm already a historicon. Let me go ahead and enter a painting contest because maybe I'll win some funds I can use to put something else. That was a mistake. It's like it's not worth my time. You know. Oh, you do 15s? Those are too small. You're not going to win with them. Well, that's what I do. You know. I'm not going to do 28s just because that's what everybody else does. I don't like 28s. There, I said it. I'd rather do 148 scale aircraft. Oh. Somebody actually had a 48 scale Messerschmitt they brought in last night. At least there's a purpose in doing 48 scale aircraft now because now there's quite a few manufacturers that make 148 scale tanks. They didn't before. I think it was like one one, maybe a second one that made 148 scale tanks and stuff, and they weren't very good. But now there's several of them, including the gold standard, in my opinion, Tamiya. So we're just going to go over this. And the other one, this is actually the command version with a radio antenna, the round radio antenna, and they gave you little prongs to glue on there, but no like spacing, so no like little marks on the turret where they went. So I had to look at some pictures, and it took quite a bit of time to put this together. I think it's pretty durable. It just took some time putting together. And then, of course, the little turrets. Mr. Luff, welcome back. Yeah, I was trying to figure out what your name was originally, and I'm like, man, Yuff. Yuff. I said, man, you must be Welsh. That sounds like that kind of a weird combination. Actually, you can't be Welsh because that's only 4 letters, and half of them are vowels. So there's no way. It would have to be the only way your name could be Welsh with 4 letters is it would have to be all consonants. You're going to order 2 1/35th scale World War I model tanks. Take a guess which ones? Well, I know you've done a Mark IV male, I think. I think that's the one that there's a picture of them on your Facebook page. So I'm going to say you're going to make an A7 and the big French one, the Saint Chamond or whatever it's called, patron saint of a howitzer up your ass. What's that thing? That's actually a really cool looking tank, actually, and practical because it has you just aim the tank where you're going, I think a Saint Chamond tank. Yep, Saint Chamond. This thing, it's a cool looking vehicle. How'd I do? I think the A7's really ugly. Considering, German tanks, when people think of German tanks, they're, cool looking, right? There's very few German tanks that are ugly. Of the Second World War. And the First World War, no. So you're getting the Mark I female and the Whippet. I think you should just go what I said. Whippet, I'm going to paint up for service with the White Army. Oh, the White Army during the Russian Civil War. Whip it. Whip it real good. All right. Let's get dark sand out here. So I failed miserably. I did not come even close to getting one of them correct. But I think my suggestion's better. I like painting up French stuff because you don't have much of an opportunity to paint up French stuff. You know, I got that flight simulator game, I talked about it before, on the Oculus. And I was really bummed that you can't play the French. Your great-grandparents arrived from Russia around 1905 during the First Revolution. Listen, I do not want any more part of this. I didn't realize that Britain and Russia came that close to coming to blows. Well, they did it in the Crimean War, but, I meant, in the 1870s over Afghanistan. 1870s, 1880s, 1890s. I didn't know. That's kind of, I was going to say it's kind of cool. Well, I don't really want people going to war, but I'm just saying, from an interest aspect. I know they almost came to blows over when they had gotten in the Russia-Japanese War, the Japanese pulled a Pearl Harbor on the Russian fleet in Port Arthur, and I get Vladivostok and Port Arthur mixed up. I'll say one but mean the other, even though they're not really. Well, they're not that far from each other, but anyhow, they got the sneak attack on Port Arthur, and when they went and sent their fleet to go reinforce them all the way across on the other side of the earth, literally, they ran into some trawlers, some merchant ships from England in the middle of the Dogger Bank, and opened fire on them, and it almost sparked a duke out with the British and the Soviets and the Russians. (1919) British and U.S. fighting after World War One. And Poles. They have all kinds of the Czech Legion. They have all kinds of really interesting stuff. Cavalry and armored cars. And speaking of the French, I was charged today for France 1940 from GMT Games. I should get here in the next few weeks. I am reading a new book that came out this year on Audible, and I'm pretty excited about it, although I should take a notepad and leave it in the car. And it's basically, let's see, I'm probably just end up butchering the name of it. It is called Desert Armor, Beta Fam to Operation Crusader, Tank Warfare in North Africa. And it's about 12 hours long. So hopefully there's some scenario ideas in there. So the first half of the of North Africa. There we go. We're going to add some dark sand to this, make some of this stuff pop out. Yeah, like if I was painting World War I troops, I would do French, German. I mean, no doubt about it. I used to have quite a few French ships for World War II. Beautiful vessels. Plan is to reset up Manstein's backhand blows. Since I now have the rules down, probably play it. Afterwards, I'm busting out a battle from SPQR Deluxe if France 40 isn't here. Yeah. Did you deal with that darn cat? I got a guy that can, he's kind of a pest control specialist. He's a guy named Something Wong, and come over and take care of your cat problem. I've heard about that happen so many times to people. They'll have a pet and it destroys something that they're working on or whatever. People are weird about pets. I didn't grow up with pets. So, I don't hate animals. I just, I don't need them for entertainment or companionship. I just, I lived alone many years, didn't have a pet, don't need one. That doesn't mean I dislike pets. I just, anyhow. And, I'm gonna say something about pets. Yeah, I've heard stories of stuff like that happen all the time. War games table and the cat. It's usually the cat. Cats like and walk around the battlefield and knock things down and like. How do you get in your room? Did somebody leave your door to your room open or something? And actually, there's a couple of dogs, and that's because that's what comes by. A couple of dogs that have come by at work while I'm at work, and they're in the truck of the driver or whatever. And I always like the ones that realize they're the fucking dog. Not like the whole world doesn't revolve around them. They're a sidekick, not the main thing. And as long as they're like calm and stuff like that, yeah, I like animals. Two people I know that have had cats that were really cool. I don't know if they would have destroyed a battlefield. They probably would, given enough time. But one of them was cat of the guy I used to play with a long time ago. It was a white cat named Jack, and he was kind of big, kind of short-haired, and it wasn't like big. He was a cool cat. He was a super cool cat. He came over and wanted to lay on you. A cat lays on you. I don't mind petting it, whatever. But, don't have like this attitude that's like, hey, bitch, you're my servant. No, I'm not the one that uses a litter box, asshole. So, you're still not sure how he got in here. I don't let him in here at all. It's the other people you live with. It's the other people you live with. By the way, who do you live with? You live with family, or do they live with you? You could tell me now. You come on like every time, as long as it's in the evenings. Sometimes even in the mornings, too. And that's why playing a board game on computer is better. That can't happen to you. I had a guy I used to play board games with. He was like the only person that was willing to play, those type of board games like you're talking about, not just, not Chutes and Ladders, you know. But he was kind of klutzy. So you have these big stacks and fall over, and it's like, oh my God, it's just, it's like Mitch rolling the dice, right? And he rolls it and it rolls off the table, and he picks it up, rolls it again, rolls it off the table. It happens like 6 times in a row. It's like every time it happens, part of your soul is like dying. Same thing with this guy. This guy had these big stacks, and he'd go, really careful, push it over and like knock it down, and like, be really careful with all the stuff on it, and then roll the dice on the table and knock them stand. It's like, I mean, I need therapy after this. What I think will happen is the door locking mechanism is old and sometimes it doesn't lock right, and he's fond of pushing the doors open if he can. Think he got in that way. Well, is that like a cat you said that was stray or something like that? Is that your cat? Just put him up for adoption. You don't need to have something bad happen to him. Just, hey, I got too many things here you can damage, pal. You need to just go somewhere else. You live with family. When I moved back here, it was a mutually beneficial decision. Then the pandemic and health problems started stacking up. Oh, I live with family too. I know what you mean. You probably live with family that you didn't pick. You know, you don't pick your family, or you don't. You pick some of your family, but I know what you're talking about. He's a stray rescue cat. He isn't a bad cat for some reason. He's overly attached to me. Unfortunately, it's not my decision to keep. Damn heart bump. Give me a heart bump. To keep rid of him. It's probably to keep him or get rid of him. We'll pull this stuff off. Why not? To keep him or get rid of him. Not your decision. And what I really don't understand is people that have lots of animals and they already have a huge family. Like if somebody's got like 3 dogs, should be a single person, right? Not somebody that's got like four had a kid. It's like, come on, man, you don't need more stuff. Or two family members I live with, I'm close to, and always have been, but I didn't expect to be stuck here for as long as I have been. The pandemic and health problems screwed my plans big time. So you were a different person before the pandemic? That's that sucks, man. I hope things turn around for you. At least you're stuck living with family that you like. Not like, I gotta live with my cousin Oswald and he's an asshole, or something like that. I think that's the first time I've ever said Oswald in my life, just so you know. That just came out of nowhere. Oswald and Francine, yeah, they always live together. What? Just out of curiosity, you say you didn't like World War One tanks. What do you like about them? They're ugly. Sorry, they are. A7's really ugly. Uh, the Mark IV is not really ugly, and the Saint Germain isn't really ugly, but they showed up really, really late. Only one side really has them. I mean, the Germans don't really have tanks. I mean, they didn't make very many A7s. I wonder if I still have that book. Oh man, I wonder if I have this book. It's my dad's book. This book. Okay, this is a World War One book. My dad wasn't into military history, but he had things that, for those that are into military history, he had it. And this is a book that has a World War One photo in it. And this is an old book, probably from the 1960s, and it's called Atlas of Weapons in War. Nothing super exciting, but there's one of these photos from World War One in here. There's a World War One German, French, British tank. Good Lord, male. But the intro to World War One, there's this painting. I may look at it now and actually not like it. So, but I always thought it was really cool. The paint scheme that they used on the stormtrooper that's on the cover of this. Here it is. Yeah, I really like the camouflage that they put on the helmets of the stormtroopers on there. Yeah, let's get this light where it's accurate. There we go. And you just reminded me when you said World War One. Pretty cool. Like Splinter. And trench warfare doesn't really excite me. The World War II section's pretty lame. This is just kind of like a book trying to cover everything, But you reminded me of that. But that's what I don't like about World War One tanks. They're ugly. Same thing about World War One aircraft. I don't really like radial engines. I don't really like the way radial engines look on a plane. I'm just, And most World War One aircraft are ugly, in my opinion. Doesn't mean I won't build them. I'm just saying that, I'm not just like jumping for joy to build them. Yeah, that's... But I had a good time at the modelers meeting. Mix it up some. I'm going to be doing some stuff and scales they don't normally do. But I think their theme ended up being like Normandy. And like two guys ended up doing... There was like 5 different aircraft, and 3 of them were the same thing, and then one of them was... And then 2 were of the same thing, like 2 Typhoons or something like that. So it's like, that's, strange that somebody would have picked something like that. But I'm planning on bringing my own stuff, and it's going to be things that nobody else is going to bring, because I think I'm the only person who does 1/72 scale armor. You could do a lot of unusual stuff for Normandy. And I don't really know if it's for a tournament or something like that. You got to bring stuff. Or I'll take their suggestion. I got a lot of different things to make. I'll try to see if I can get something that fits their theme. But I'm not interested in winning prizes or anything like that. I don't need any more models to build. And if I do an aircraft, I want to think long and hard about which one it's going to be, not just the one that I won. Oh, I guess this wasn't supposed to come off. Well, that's unfortunate. They don't make these things like they used to. Well, what's attached there? Let's glue this sign in. Side. Like the British Tempest and Invasion Stripes. So something one of the guys was saying was that, I didn't know this. Normandy Invasion Stripes pretty much makes every aircraft look better, in my opinion. You take something like anything, you put them Normandy Invasion Stripes, they just look better. One of the things that we're saying was in July, they had to start taking the striping off of the top of the aircraft, because what was happening is they were getting the Germans were having an easy time shooting them down. Like they could recognize that camouflage wouldn't work on them. So what they did is they kept invasion stripes on the underneath part, but from on the top of the wing they didn't have them. Yeah, they were saying the Typhoon was the first radial engine fighter, or whatever that the Brits had. So, or ground attack aircraft. I guess it could double as a fighter, a heavy fighter. You know, I mean, it's not like it's unmaneuverable. That somebody was saying that the Tempest was basically an improved Typhoon and fixed everything that they didn't like about the Typhoon. So I think the Typhoon is, for having something that has a underbite with the air. The air. Oh, this is just. We're gonna have to epoxy this thing. I like most British aircraft. I'll be right back in 1 second. Yeah, most British aircraft are attractive. Most of them. I mean, there's a few that aren't very attractive, but they're certainly the exception to the rule. Even the Gladiators. The Gladiators aren't an unattractive aircraft. Neither are Swordfish or. Actually, Swordfish is a pretty good looking aircraft. Regardless of whether or not it's made out of cloth or who cares, you know? I think it's a pretty good looking aircraft. All right, we need to take a look at some pictures and see if I can come across some 228 paint scheme. So T28 Russian tank. images. Now here's a seat decal set. That's always a good sign. Let me see what vehicles I have right now. I've got two T28s. I don't remember exactly what they have on them. Okay. Oh, one of them's actually has a conical turret. The later one. General A Tools. Welcome. I'd like to build a Swordfish Mark I with markings of a unit that went after Bismarck. String bag. And then this one has a 4 on it. The old string bag. I didn't know that some planes used them as a float plane. I mean, some ships had ferry swordfish float planes. I was not aware of that. Okay, so here's a 185. Oh, this 166 that's there says number 166 from the 10th Tank Division, 15th Mechanized Corps of the Red Army, Southwestern Front, June 41. All right, well, we can make one of them 166. The number's down here instead of having anything on the turret. That's pretty easy to do. You're debating whether or not it's worth the photo etch upgrade to the instrument panels I have for the cockpit of the Heinkel. Yeah. I'll tell you what, one thing from aircraft I think I'm the least interested in is the cockpit. It just doesn't interest me. Never did as a kid. You get a model of a plane, the first thing I want you to put together is a cockpit. And oh yeah, and by the way, paint these things before you put them in there. Kid ain't gonna listen to that. Kid's just gonna start putting shit together. Yeah, these guys do look pretty good. And take a photo really to do them justice. Let's see if we can get a good photo of these guys. And then yeah, they're pretty. You know, these are old little. They're actually 1/87th scale. So I'm using 1/87th scale tanks with a bunch of 72nd and 76th. I don't think you can see into the cockpit of the Heinkel enough to warrant photo etch. Yeah, but you know it's there. That's what they try to convince you of, right? That's what I try to convince you of. Well, we need to paint the tracks on both of these. Let's see, where is my SS Camo Black, as you used to call it? Man, I thought I was being kind of optimistic, staying up till 10 o'clock doing this. I've been up for a long time. Like I said, I'm tired. I'm ready for the weekend. Actually, I don't care if it's a weekend. I'm ready for a day where I don't work. Call it whatever the hell you want. Call it Tuesday. Which Heinkel do you have? You have a 111? Probably the most well-known Heinkel. There's other ones. Heinkel 100. Heinkel 51. The original little biplane fighter. What model brand is it? I want to say you've told me. Is it DML or Academy or? I think the stream hung up there. Really? Well, I don't know if there's anything else I could do. I could stop the stream. That won't help. From ICM from Ukraine. They're being painted for the fun of it with the intention of maybe sometime in the future playing the game. But it's the fun of it over the game. It's freezing left. It's freezing left and right. Must be the drones again. What is the speed? Yeah, I don't know what it is. Oh well. I'm gonna see if we can paint all these tracks. Then we're probably gonna call it. I'm literally like falling asleep. It's like, man, I gotta make some coffee, but then I'll be up for 3 hours. Or I will go to sleep, but every like half hour, 45 minutes, I'll be waking up in the middle of the night going, huh? What? What's the name of the game? I don't have the rules in here. It's called The Face of Battle. Yeah, I haven't left in the. Well, I'll tell you what it looks like. Ultra Skirmish. The Face of Battle rules. Looks like this. And if you want to know what the games it is, if you do a search for The Face of Battle, just do a regular Google search, you're going to come across this. And the bottom of here, it'll say the rules we use. I didn't write this. This just happened to be somebody who's uses this set of rules, which are out of print now. And they have a blog. And the rules we use, The Face of Modern Battle, which is basically the same rule set, but some different addenda. and they kind of go step by step of how what the flow of the game is, and it's really well written. The name of the site is actually called. Let's see. Something War Games. DHC War Games blog, and they happen to have a they have a pretty good way of describing what the game feels like while you're playing it. The first thing that attracts it to me is it's in 1-to-1 scale. What do you mean one tank's one tank? Yes, and not only that, but these two tanks are 3 meters away from each other or whatever. So you're playing in actual scale. So means there's some things you probably aren't able to use, just because of the scale of the game. But it is a what you see is what you get type of thing. So you don't have to squint your brain and try to figure out what's really happening or what that outcome really means. You know exactly what the outcome means. It's very specific. And I should be able just to pop this out. And this one makes it easier to glue this and then just put it back in place. Paint it and get it back in place. So I had a really interesting thing happen the other day. I literally am cracking up, dying laughing. And I played this free video game that's available. It's called Enlisted or something like that. And it's like, Call of Duty or whatever, but you bring several people in with you. So you're playing one character, but you could have like 2 other people with you. And you could switch between them and stuff. It's got vehicles, and I had this one incident that happened with a Panzer II the other day. I've had the game for a long time and never played it. It's one of those play to win type games. You got the bases of fleshed down and the 72nd Polish Infantry. Yeah. Well, once you get the flesh tone down, you really can make them come to life. No point in painting the underneath part of the. It's going to be hidden in the muck. This ombre something paints. Ombre. Este hombre. Batch paints. All right, I'm gonna have to actually call it a night. I'm literally like falling asleep here. But we'll try to get on. Let's see, tomorrow night. Yeah, probably won't be on tomorrow night. Maybe Friday. Definitely back Saturday morning. Oh no, I won't. I'm going out of town. All right, so I may be here, there, everywhere. So Sunday morning, I should be back for Sunday morning. But as always, folks, enjoy your evening.